And there it is. We are live with Mike Tramp from the legendary rock band White Lion. Mike, what's up, man? Thanks for joining in.
It's my pleasure. It's nice to be alive.
Yeah, man. Real quick before we start, I have a friend of mine who's a mutual friend of yours. His
Okay.
name is Brian Jones, the former singer of Lillian Axe. He wanted me
Yeah, of course. Brian's a good bud.
Yep, he wanted me to tell you hello. He lives
I
here.
appreciate it.
Yeah, man. All right. So one other note before we start, I was actually in your country. I was in Denmark when I was in the Navy many years ago, and just what a fabulous country, and the architecture and beautiful women and great food. So I wanted to share that with you as well.
Do you want to switch?
Yeah, maybe. All right, Mike, let's get into this. Let me get my notes here. So you got this new record out, Songs of White Lion Volume 2. So tell the fans a little bit about what they can expect out of this record.
Well, I mean, in comparison to the first one, since this is Volume 2, just going in and doing the first one, I didn't have the same thoughts as I now have going in and doing the second one. Going in and doing the first, I thought I was going in to just, record an album and sort of like just, settle my peace with the White Lion that's been chasing me for 40 years. Then one thing led to another, and suddenly I was out on the road with a band playing, across the world, seeing how much, people still love the songs. So obviously it led to the point of going in and recording, a second one. And of course, with the second one, in many ways, the same thing may sometimes even happen with original albums back in time. Sort of when you get to do the second one, you sort of, want it to be much more for the band. And you start, picking songs that's maybe not the classic, 3.5 minute singles for the radio. And, you kind of like take down your guards and just say, hey, we want to, do these songs for the love of rock and roll and what feels good playing, not what is commercially right and so. So in reality, the second album, is sort of like the band's choice, even though in reality there isn't a band.
Mm-hmm. You know what's really cool? Like growing up, I'm not sure how old you are, but I'm almost 60 years old now.
Well, there's a 6 and a 3, so you can decide how to place them.
Okay. And I used to love to listen to B-sides on the 45 records I used to get. Remember the 45 records?
No, of course. I know where you're going.
Yeah, man, because there's so many great songs that the radio never picks up. And it was just something that I used to get into. I used to flip to that B-side. And because there's so many songs that people don't hear that they should, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, and there are people that released albums which is called B-sides, because somehow, those tracks were like, again, the band tracks, the ones that they played for the love of rock and roll, not for the purpose of having a radio single and a hit and so and it all falling into the category. I sometimes think about who came up with that a song should only be so long and could only be so long, and it's almost like the industry has prepared people to be restless after 3.5 minutes. And this sort of the same thing I remember a long time ago, some rock and roll singer that I'm not going to mention, but he talked about this, that, after like 13.5 minutes, when the commercials would start, if he was doing something else after 13.5 minutes, he would be restless because he knew the commercials would be on and it would give him a chance to do something in between before the show came back. And so all these things have been added to the way of making music, which really doesn't have any part of making music. If you sit and write a song and it wants to go into a C part or bridge or whatever, you can't suddenly look, well, the song is already 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Yeah, but I'm going to use all 6 minutes. I'm going,
Yeah, it's so well said. So this record drops August 23rd, correct?
That's correct. That's also the day the tour drops.
So you guys are gonna get rolling as soon as it drops? You guys are gonna hit the road, boom.
Yeah.
Now, how do you guys select cities where you're gonna go? Because White Lion and you, man, you guys still have a ton of fans out there. Like.
Well, I hope you're right. I mean, which I don't want to sort of like, spoil my opportunity of being high up on the clouds here. You know what? This is like one of those hook fishing nets you throw out and you just hope that fish bites. Our booking agents obviously, starts one place, which is usually where we sort of like roll out from. In our case, it's Las Vegas. We're based in Los Angeles, but we don't have as much say in it as
Mm.
as what just comes our way and so and so. Um, and it in reality, it just comes back to how maybe it once used to be before anybody sort of like made it a controllable thing to book a band and tour around. But so far now, we get in the car, we drive a lot, and it is what it is.
Do you have a favorite city? And you played all over the world. Is there any top two or three places that you just really love to go play?
Well, let me put it this way, because these days I'm grateful for any show we have,
Of
and
course.
when we walk up on stage, the city doesn't really have much of an impact what it is, regardless if it's unless you're playing New York City and you can't. Your car anywhere,
Yeah.
But in the heydays of White Line, when we were playing the big arenas and things like that, a lot of people would think that Los Angeles or New York or Chicago would be, the happening places. But it would be places like Boise, Idaho, or Birmingham, Alabama, and things like that, where when you walked out on stage, the venue or the concert room was on fire. The big cities with the big sports team and so on and so on are spoiled in a way. So, it takes a little more to get them to stand up and things like that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But if we get paid at the end of the night, it'll be a bonus.
Yeah, one time I interviewed Larry Holmes, the boxer, the heavyweight boxer, and I asked him how long it took his body to recover after a big
Oh,
15-round boxing match, and he told me as soon as the check clears. Okay, so the song "Lights and Thunder," I listened to it. I watched the video. Man, the video is awesome, man. I mean, and the sound. Talk about "Lights and Thunder" and what was it about that song you decided to do the video for and release?
yeah. Once again, I appreciate your praise for that. I mean, I could only imagine that, when White Lion did the video for Radar Love back in 1989, and the record company advanced us $500,000 to do that video.
Wow.
And here we are today with Lights and Thunder, a song that a director and something like that could really go ape with. A friend of mine did that. We did that video for like $1,200 and et cetera, et cetera. But of course, a lot of the stuff in the song and everything is the experience of the past and what that song carries, and how much we've been through with that song and everything. So it's to me, it's probably the greatest reward, and the best thing about this is kind of this thing about getting a second chance to throw that pitch
Hmm.
and throw it the correct way. And like I've said in every other interview, I'm not dissing the past. Without the past, I wouldn't be here today. But there are a lot of these tracks, when I go in and sing them today, I have a completely different understanding of them. I have full control of the songs because I know them inside out, and any other way you could know them. So it gives the singer a lot of comfort in singing it. I don't have to think about the lyrics. I don't have to think about it. So I have a way of exploring it, which I haven't had a chance before. When in the past we've recorded albums, besides the Pride album, which is our second album, the other albums, we've walked into the studio and it's been the first time the band has played the song. When we recorded the Pride album, 9 out of those 10 songs on that album were part of our live show for a year and a half in the clubs.
Hmm.
So when we walked into the the studio and the red light went on, I mean, it was just like playing another club show.
Yeah.
And so it was all just about feeling good. It wasn't about thinking what's coming after the solos or another chorus or that stop or bridge. You know what's coming there because it's what came there 2 months ago when we were playing in Philadelphia or somewhere else. So that those are the things again when you look. I mean, all these interviews that I do, I in reality like sort of therapy for me. I'm looking back and both of I get a chance to sort of explain myself, but I also with one of the ears are listening to myself, basically giving myself the answer to a lot of questions that I've had about what is all this about. Because when we were doing it in the big days, every day was a new day for us. Every day was the first time we did that. So I mean, of course we had some experience, but a lot of the stuff we had to make decisions that day based upon only what we knew at that moment. Now I have the answers to absolutely everything.
Mm.
It's a little late, but I have the answers.
And there's something to be said about wisdom and as we get older, you see things a little bit differently as well. I mean, for my life in all aspects, you know, you compare back to your youth to where you are now, and you just see things differently also, just with getting older, you know?
Yeah, I mean, in reality, I mean, you can say the basic thing about life and stuff like that. People that have kids when they're 17, 18 years old, and in my case, my firstborn son, I was 33 years old. At least I'd had the chance to live a little bit of a wild life before that kind of thing. I mean, I haven't really stopped living my life, but it now you almost have a little bit of a guidance and that your kids are somehow part of your life. They're not, in one way or another. So you live life a little bit more, carefully and make decisions. But they're all based upon everything you knew in the past.
Yeah, 100%. Now, vocally, the song I heard, your vocals sound great. Um, Obviously, though, as we get older, things change a little bit. What do you do? Do you do anything to keep your voice to where it needs to be? Is there any vocal training or any kind of therapy you do on your voice at all?
Not at all. I tell
Wow.
and I like to say that to anyone who listens stuff like that. I mean, I have no training whatsoever. I've had my own struggles, with my voice all through my career. Back in the White Lion days, I mean, I was singing so high.
Yeah.
And so when you say your voice sounds good, my voice sounds the best it can at where I am, and
Right.
that is my goal, is that I'm singing and I'm recording based upon my capabilities and what I think it should sound like. Like I said, right now, I'm 63 years old, and I don't want the vocal to sound 63 years old. I don't know what a vocal should sound like when you're 63 years old,
Yeah.
but it definitely shouldn't sound like a 63-year-old man being in there trying to recreate somebody 26,
Yes.
which is when I, recorded the Pride album and that kind of stuff. So to me, I have seen a lot of my comrades fight and struggle with that both live and stuff like that because they haven't decided or made the decision to say, you know what, I have to represent myself today. And that is what volume 1 and 2 is about. This is Mike Tramp, within the last 2 or 3 years doing this. This is the experience and you should get when I come out on stage and sing these songs. You're not just hearing the songs, you're hearing 35 years of life that I've lived. And I'll add a little bit of that into the stories, but I'll also add a lot into that to the performance. So what you will see is somebody very comfortable with where they are and have accepted that they're not living in a castle on the top of a mountain,
Mm.
you know. So to me, everything is just about being realistic because I would not be able to do it if I had to even sit here with you and just fill you with a lot of lies and bullshit. Instead, I'll just tell you exactly what I'm dealing with and the thing. So I'm very aware when we go out and we play the clubs. But based upon my background and how I was raised and what a little family I come from, and so few things in my life, I'm stronger. I'm stronger in these places that I play now than I in reality was when I was playing the big arenas, because I was, on one hand, I took all the stuff I could get, but on the other hand, I was still dealing with finding comfort with something that in many ways was unfamiliar with how I thought my life was going to be based upon how I was raised. My mom raised me and my two brothers in a little apartment. We never had a car. We basically had nothing. So that is my foundation, even to songwriting.
Wow. Are you still having fun? Because another element of life. Are you the type of person where if it's no longer fun, you're just gonna pack it up? Is it still enjoyable for you to do this, to tour and sing and
I mean, I would be lying if I didn't say that I'm also playing music and performing music, because that has now been my life for 50 years.
mm,
I recorded my first record. I mean, I was part of a singing group in 1974. So when somebody said the other day, "Well, you've now been involved in 50 years," I says, "Well, that is the fact.
mhm.
The fact is also that my income for 50 years has been through music. So when I go out and play Boise, Idaho, or New Orleans, it is to pay for my life
Sure.
and raising my kids and so on, so. And yeah, I mean, about the fun, to me, it's more about the success with making it work. I mean, I'm a complete the chase is better than the catch. So interesting enough, I'm very much fueled on logistics. So to me, where in the past they were platinum records you were awarded, to me it's more about when I go to sleep and I know that we have done like 400 to 500 miles, survived the sound check, survived the show, gotten back to hotel, and everything is good. That to me
Hmm.
is the platinum award.
Yeah,
And then I do it for 2 months.
that's well said, man. So I remember when Pride came out, I was actually deployed in the Middle East. And I want to tell you, I mean, first of all, it's an honor to talk to you, by the way. I've been a big fan of you for many, many years, and White Line Music got me through some tough times over there, man. So I just wanted you to know that as well.
I appreciate that. And can I reach out and say thank you for your service?
I appreciate it, man. I really do, because your music, I've had a few other musicians on my show that I've said the same thing for. Music was therapy, man. You're out there. I was off North Africa and
I
off.
understand.
Yeah, it was great, man. So
I understand.
I wore out your cassette tape and bought it. I think I bought it about 5 times. Just back in the cassette days, bro.
Oh man, you come from the right era.
Yeah, man. Such good music. Such good music. All right. Well, I don't have a whole lot more other than just to wanted to just get with you and make sure that we touch on everything we needed to touch on. The name of the record, of course. Also the song you guys released. We got that. Do you have anything you want to say in closing to the fans out there? I know the tour's about to kick off. Um, Anything you
Well,
want to say to the fans?
one thing that do I have something to say? Oh, I got plenty. Let's see, but I'm just going to make sure that I stay with rock and roll, or else I won't be doing
Yeah,
too well.
we can do another podcast maybe for that.
I think and I feel that since this whole new media has been added to our world, meaning the internet and all this stuff and so on so and before when we walked out on stage, it was it was a surprise to people, now, a lot of people go going on YouTube and they can see the show from the night before. They know your jacket that you're going to wear. They most likely know what you're going to say after the third song. So it's both become harder and harder. And of course, rock and roll has also sort of like, the food chain has sort of changed a little. Rock and roll used to be king in many ways. And once the music industry started changing, and it didn't become about, the true artist before. Now it's just a product that's being replaced by another product, 24 hours later and things like that. On behalf of all the other bands out there that feels the same as I do and live and breathe for this, not only to pay the rent, but also because we feel we have a little bit of a duty to say thanks to like Chuck Berry and Elvis and Hendrix and Zeppelin and Stones and Beatles, that they created this road for the rest of us to drive on. They created the world of rock and roll, which I have lived in now for 48 years, night and day. And even though I'm capable, I live on a farm, I have a farm, I'm capable of using my hands for a lot of different things. I'm not going to be able to go out and get a job tomorrow just like that. So, I mean, I try to make sure that I can give the best rock and roll to those who still follow my music and like, to listen to what I do. And it's also a great honor, like what you mentioned yourself, to that you're part of other people's life. They're not standing in front of the stage anymore, screaming and crying. No, the songs are part of your life. I can't tell you how many people that, even in the service, that made Little Fighter their song, and how much that song meant to them, being away from home and things like that. And that to me is, again, that's a platinum award.
Wow, so well said. Because that song, "Little Fighter," "Wait," I mean, these are songs that literally just not only me. I can speak for a lot of my shipmates too, because when a lot of people were playing your music on my ship, I know that because the cassette.
Wow.
I even lent it out to a few people to circulate it because we didn't have a place to get any until we pulled in support somewhere, and then but yeah, man. So do you have a website? I mean, I have all the links that I'm going to put up in the article, but did you want to?
Well, I mean, how many people go a website? I mean, everything is on Facebook, Mike Tramp Official.
Yeah, true. That's true, man. Mike, such an honor to talk to you, man. I really appreciate you coming in. Best of luck on the tour. Have a great tour, man. Have fun with it too, brother.
Thank you, brother, man. I appreciate it, man. You be safe there out there, okay?
Yep, you too, man. Thanks for joining me.
You got it. Bye.
Bye-bye.